question I get pretty often from traders, new and experienced, is are there any steps or strategies I would use if I were starting all over again, but with a small account? And the first thing I like to tell traders is once upon a time, many years back, in a land far, far away, I did have a small account. In fact, I started my trading career with a $1,200 account. So I'm familiar with the trials and tribulations and sometimes the frustrations of having a smaller account. So I'm going to go over the top 3 things that I did back then that helped me grow a small account and get me to where I am right now, which is trading a rather large account. So number 1 is accept that having a small account mindset will always keep you in a small account. There are no strategies that I would do differently with a small account. It's actually about understanding how much risk per trade I have on. So for example, if I'm trading an option contract, how much am I willing to risk of that option contract? Related to that is how much risk to the account would a loss in that trade represent? With a small account, it should seldom be any more than 2 to 3% maximum. And if you had 3% losses, your account would be down by 9% minus commissions and fees. In a small account, that can be pretty debilitating because the buying power to buy calls or puts is going to be far lower to begin with, and many options will simply be unaffordable. The second thing is a lot of traders with small accounts use margin accounts in an effort to make trades more affordable by selling premium or using spreads. Here's a challenge with that. If you have a small account, 2,000, 5,000, 7,000, I mean, small is relative to the price of the options you're trading. So when an account has less than 25,000 and it's also a margin account, it's subjected to the pattern day trading rule, which means no more than 3 trades every 5 business days. That means the account is naturally limited to the number of option trades it can take advantage of. Now, yes, the pattern day trading rule might be going away, but we're still dealing with it now. So let's deal with the now. Now, that limitation is not something I necessarily want, especially if the trader with the small account wants to be a day trader. That's impossible. If that same small account trader says, well, I'll swing trade instead of day trade, that's a little bit more reasonable because 3 swing trades a week is not really a bad number of trades on margin. But what I do recommend is that a small account use a cash account where there is no pattern day trading rule, and that trader will buy calls and buy puts, so long calls and long puts only. The third thing, and this is the next challenge for a small account, is expectation. The expectation of growth in a small account is a lot like compounding, where the growth is going to be small, potentially steady for a fairly prolonged period of time. So in buying, say, an option that costs $100, taking an initial profit at 125 or 150, which would represent a 25 to 50% return, is pretty a reasonable expectation, right? Especially for the first target. Now, the second target, if the trade and the trend continue in the favor of the option, that could be easily 100%. So that's where the $1 option has now turned into $2, or the $100 is now $200. These numbers may not sound sexy, I get it. But what hurts a lot of small accounts is the expectation that they can buy something for $100 and it goes to $1,000. And sure, that can happen, but it's not going to be something that's going to happen regularly. The reality is taking $100 and turning it into $150, maybe $200, then backing out fees and commissions, and then doing that again will eventually grow the account to larger and larger amounts where more than 1 or 2 options can be bought, or more expensive options can become within the budget. These are all the realities that a small account is going to face. I faced it. You're probably going to face it at some point too. But as long as you're thinking more about growing the account with measured and reasonable risk, that's what you're developing, that scalable mindset. So once that small account is a medium account, you're really not changing anything. Now you might be able to trade more accounts, more expensive options. Trade more contracts in that account or more expensive options. But the risk to the account should still be no greater than 2 to 3% per trade. So think of it this way. If a trader has a 70% win rate, which is outstanding, all right, that means that there are still going to be 3 losses for every 10 trades taken. And if that win rate falls to 60%, there would be 4 losses for every 10 trades taken. The idea is to control risks so that the losses are never greater in number than the wins. But more importantly, that the losses on average are not greater in size than the average gain. That's a lot of arithmetic, I get, but it's pretty basic. And that's what a small account has to accept. It's just this consistent getting on base, getting a single, getting a double, maybe the occasional triple or home run. But these small wins accumulate over time when using a high probability strategy, which is certainly a topic for another video and conversation. But this is where a small account needs to start, with that mindset around risk.